Good morning. I'm back in Wakefield. Took me a while to remember the name. And I am going to be walking probably to Castleford. I was planning a bit further, but I think it'll be Castleford today. We have the Weir behind us. Now that is still the River Calder, I think. Or it could be the River Aire. Because now that I have completed the Calder Navigation, I'm going to be doing the Aire and what's it called? Aire and Calder? Maybe it's still the Calder River, not the Aire River. I don't know. I'll check on the map. Yeah, it must be Aire and Calder Navigation, which goes from Wakefield to Leeds. And it's, I think, about 18-19 mile walk, so I won't be doing the whole walk. I'm just doing half of it. Or just under half, I think, to Castleford. I'm not sure. I haven't really mapped the distance out. And we have this unusual looking thing. I'll get a picture for it. I'll go across the road and get a picture of it. Anyway, so that's the river. So down here somewhere. There was meant to be a path. And then I shall be on my way. Alright, coming off the river, joining the Canal by the looks of it. So I'm going through a rock. Trouble when you're by yourself, you have to climb those ladders to get up. And here we go. Sign says, "Welcome to the Aire Calder Navigation." So there's a little lock that cut out a corner on the river, basically. A bit desolate looking. I see that barbed wire up there. Possibly an empty factory there. Broken windows. Ooh, we've gone from barbed wire to spikes. Those ones. Oops, not the camera in the right place. See that? Oh, you can see it. It's still on Zoom. The river's down there. I've had to come in a bit because there's a stream. Big old tree that's come down there. Looks like it's still got green foliage on it as well. It's not completely out, so I suppose it's still surviving just. It could be a different tree. But hard to tell. Bags of rubbish by the looks of it. Yep. Disgusting pigs. This whole area could do with a bit of a tidy up. It looks like they're trying. Christ, they'd be desperate. I don't think I want to sit there unless it's absolutely knackered. That's the view. Brambles. Now I can only presume that these stones are the remains of a place called Heath Old Hall. As it says, it's got remains on the map. So this is a little bit more further down. That's about it. Some stone thing over here. Let's have a look at this. Actually, that looks like there's a pipe there. This looks like these stones were holding the pipe in place. So you can go across the way. Apparently, there's a sewage work somewhere. So I don't know where the remains of this Heath Old Hall is, or maybe that's it. Ashfield's Circular Walk. Well, the river's down there. Up here, after I go under a railway bridge and I connect up the canal. Yeah, so I was just thinking, before I actually came to the UK 30 years ago, the previous 2 years I spent in Australia. I lived in Australia. When I left New Zealand, I left on a Russian cruise ship, and it was originated from Sydney, gone out around a few of the islands, Pacific Islands, and called into Auckland before it came back to Sydney. And it was only a small cruise ship. I think it took out about 700 passengers. I think it had about 350 Australians on it, and then until it called into Auckland, and then it filled up with 350 New Zealanders going one way to Australia. That was interesting. We ate Russian caviar every day. Swimming in the swimming pool was quite entertaining, because it was really rocked about, the water rocked about with it as the boat rocked. Ship. Yeah, so I went up to Brisbane, stayed there for, I don't know, 6-7 months. I worked there for a bit. I bought my first mode of transport. I bought a Honda 90, and fantastic, absolutely loved it. It's quite funny though, because when I used to come home from work, I finished about 3 o'clock, so I'd be riding up my road, and people would come running out because the postman there rode Honda 90s, and they thought the postman was arriving with the mail. So then I decided it was time to do a bit of travelling. So I went out and got a Honda 400 CB twin thing, I think it's called. Not sure, I'm not really into motorbikes. I'd never driven one before I bought that one. And yeah, so I did a bit of weekend tripping at first. I was still working. And voila, bit of wild camping. We used to just pull up on the side of the road by the beach or something like that and throw the tent down, have a fire. Not that I could make. I do the fires. My friend was a good fire starter. Cook our food on the fire. We did that a bit, and then set off on our travels. We did some fruit picking, and all I picked cherries, pears, and fresh grapes. Yeah, I mean, cherries we just got the end of the season anyway. And pears were awful because it really got scratched up on the branches. I think grapes is the one I stuck at the longest. And we used to stop work when it got to 40 degrees Celsius. Dirt was red. It was dry heat though. And the accommodation in a tin shed. And we must be turned off to go under the bridge. So after that I went down to Sydney. I was in Sydney, I got a job working on the council in the eastern suburbs around Bondi and Bondi. Used to do the gardens around there. It's fairly built up. So many parks I was in, you're always overlooked by blocks of flats and etc. I used to have some of these women used to come out, bring me sweets because I was working so hard. I remember one woman came out and she just sat down on the chair in the park and started talking to me, and she was Russian. And she was telling me about her childhood. She used to be digging potatoes up, and it sounded like she lived in a convent or something, and how awful the nuns were to her. Anyway, looks like I've got to go over this bridge. So the river turns into the canal over there. There's lots of cyclists and dog walkers about. Of course, none of them have their dogs on these, and they will come running up to me and jump on me. I forgot to tell you about a story that happened the other day when I was walking down the canal. I was coming past this boat, which obviously I think people were living on. and there was a bloke right down the way. So I was near this boat, and there was a dog outside the boat, and there was a bloke further up, and he was walking towards the boat, and you could see him waving, trying to call the dog. So the dog turned around and ran up to me and then ran back to the boat, and then a woman came out on the boat, and he was waving at the dog again, and the dog turned around and ran up to me again. Oh dear. It's a good thing I'm not scared of dogs. Because I'll tell you what, loads of these dogs come up to me and jump on me. Yeah, back in Sydney. If I remember, I'll put a couple of photographs of me motorbike in when I first bought it, and then probably about a year later when I was in Sydney. Yes, I worked on this council doing the parks. I thought it was quite hilarious because the way they did it was we started at 7, you loaded the truck up with your gear, they drove you off to a park, they dumped you there for the day, and they come back and pick you up at the end of the day, literally. Anyway, so they have all these gardeners, and all of them go out in twos, and they're all blokes, and they all go out in twos. And here's me, they send me out by myself. It's fine anyway. But in those days you got paid in cash, you didn't get didn't have direct things going into your bank. You could get a little bit put away, but they wouldn't put your whole wage in. So you'd be working away in a park, and one of these security vans would turn up, and you have to go up to the van, and they'd open a slot in the side of the door, slide your pay packet out, you sign for it, and then you have to carry around your whole wage for the rest of the day. Yeah. I mean, I've worked for councils before, and we always had a vehicle, so we'd come back for morning breaks and lunch and afternoon breaks, come back to the depot, and you come back and you always get paid at, I think it was a lunchtime, one of the depots, not this place. Luckily the weather wasn't too bad. I mean, it rained. When it rained in Sydney. It was very tropical almost, but you didn't work in the rain. It didn't get too cold. Had to use like bus stations and local community centres and things like that. Even a technical college, one place I had to use to go, if I wanted to go to the toilet, I had to go and use all these facilities everywhere, which always seemed weird because you just left your gear in the middle of the park. Anyone could have walked up and taken your equipment. But there you go. There was a nice bunch of people that worked there. I've worked with them sometimes. But it's one of those places where you could quite easily settle in. You got paid well. Apart from, I don't think people, apart from like buying a property, which would be ultra expensive in Sydney, renting wasn't too bad. And other expenses like food and all that wasn't too bad either. So you had lots of spare cash. It was easy to save money. They could have easily just settled in there like that. High standard of living. But I have this wanderlust. I had to come to the northern hemisphere. Stanley Ferry, 3/4 of a mile. Now that was one of my very first walks I did. One of my first longer walks. Was out of one of those cards, 30 walks in West Yorkshire or something, and it encumbered Stanley Ferry. It was quite a flat walk, and I think it was a 7-mile walk. It's quite a nice promenade along here, if I remember rightly. Big barge boats and all sorts. But better still, I think there'll be facilities and find somewhere to sit, have a cup of tea, and might even just have me soup. Not sure what time it is actually. Let's have a look. Wrong way, come on. Clock. Oh, 11:39, a bit early for lunch. Might just have a cup of tea and a snack and use the facilities. Well, I'm pretty sure I've got a seat that actually doesn't belong to a boat. Trash screen bridge. Loose plastic bottles. You've got the canal going across the river there. I don't think you could ever get a boat down there now. Pretty amazing that. Reflections on the water. I wore my long padded coat today, and I don't think I needed to. Should have just stuck with me purple raincoat. Come from that direction, going this way, very long. Lacking a bit of energy at the moment for some reason. I've done 4.85 miles, and I'm going to stop here, have a wee cup of tea. I've been walking about half an hour since I had lunch, or 40 minutes probably. But yeah, I think I'll just have a wee cup of tea. Right, it's 1 to 2. Had a couple of cups of tea. Managed to stuff me coat, my big coat, in my backpack. I mean, it's a 30-litre bag, but I think it takes more than that actually compared to other bags I've had. But yeah, I managed to fit that massive coat in there. It's not very comfortable on, but I think I think it was part of the problem. I think I was overheating a bit. It's actually quite mild. And I think, just guesstimating, I think I've got about 2 miles left at the most. It's 2 o'clock, so I should be pulling into Castleford at about 3 o'clock-ish. We should do 2 miles an hour on the flat. So unless I stop for another break, yeah, should get there before dark anyway. Just about to go under the M62. Which looks like it's about halfway in between junction 30 and junction 31. It's got this sort of lock where you're supposed to can park their boats. They can't get through. There's a, I'm not sure if it's the river or another canal branch that goes on the other side, which obviously you can't get to. Yeah, I reckon that used to be a lock. Maybe we've filled it in. Just coming up to 6 miles. Since this is part of a canal you can't go through, it's quite a little haven. At the moment, I'm following this path. It's under being constructed. It's not on the map. So we'll see where it comes out. Right, I'm by the riverside. So it looks like it connects up with an actual path that is marked on the map. So when it's completed, apparently it's in January, started in August, there should be a path all the way along. Bicycle tracks and footprints, so lots of people have been coming through here. Oh, we have a railway bridge up here, and then the next one is a dismantled railway, so I don't know, been talked, it probably turned into some kind of cycleway, I guess. Very old, quite airy. This is the dismantled railway, so they're having the path going up to join it. I'm not sure if I can get underneath it or not. Let's have a look. Well, there's definitely a path underneath it. So it's not a dead end. So we've got a bit of erosion there, or withering. It's erosion. Yeah, it's definitely a path here. Right, coming up to 3 o'clock, and I've done 7¼ miles, so it's a little bit further than the 2 I thought, which is probably going to be at least 3. I'm not too sure. Anyway, that's 3 o'clock, so it's dark at 4. I think my train comes about 4:30. Not many trains run on the Sunday. And if I miss the 4:30 one, I've got to wait till 6 o'clock or 6:30 or something like that. So I should definitely make the 4 one. So it might be another mile maybe. More path work. Looks like that path's going to be rerouted. Eh? God knows, this goes on forever. How I would have followed a diversion when I don't know the area. Last thing I expect to see. Donkey. I've got a boat turned upside down to use it as barn. Chickens over there. Right, there's the river. It's the path I'm on. And this follows us around a bit and comes into Castleford, and not actually that far from the train station when it ends. And that's that leg of the Aire Calder Navigation. Next it'll be Castleford to Leeds. That'll be another canal ticked off. Meanwhile, I still need to, sorry, just changing hands. I still need to look into that Leeds Liverpool transport dilemma I've got. The only thing I can think of is I have to look at bus services and see if there's a bus that runs. Right, the path that goes along, I should be able to walk on. It's been blocked off because they built all these houses. So I have no idea how to get out of here. It's a maze. It's not on the map. After going through that warren of houses, so I'm not on the path by the water anymore because it's all blocked off. It's now 3:30 and I'm about, I think about at least a 15-minute walk from the train station. Right, I've got about a 45-minute wait for a train. Well, there was a girl who was doing the same walk as me. Crossed past her a couple of times. She walks a lot faster than me. So I was following her through the maze of houses. She came out, she took a wrong turn and she said, I said, where are you going? She said, oh, train station. I said, straight ahead. You get to the roundabout, go straight across. So she marches off, obviously because she's walking faster than me. And she didn't go straight across the roundabout. She took the exit. So I don't know where she is, but I thought, well, not chasing her down. I'm sure she'll find a way back. So I shall get my coat on and get my cup of tea out and just have a look at the distance. Oh my god, 9.25 miles. I thought I was only going to do 7. No wonder it took me longer than I thought. 9.25 miles. Oh dear. I'll just switch that off. There won't be much battery left now. I'm going to use the GPS on my foot, but it runs the battery down. Only lasts about between 5 and 6 hours, which is a pain. I do bring a cable if I'm doing. Can be out for a long time so I can recharge it. I like to know how many miles I'm walking. Not estimated by steps, but actual GPS mileage. Yes, I did 9.25 and was only expecting to do 7. So supposedly from here to Leeds, I think it's still about 10. I'll have to look into that because there's part of the canal out there that says you can't walk. The book says you can go on it in summer but you can't in winter. So I can't work that one out when it's a nature reserve or something. But so I'll have to look that up. All my diversions. Yeah, I'm glad I could get through that path. I think that's why that girl she came up behind me, because I know she was ahead of me and I went on the path. She must have taken the diversion, I guess. I don't know, she didn't stop to chat. Her loss. Another nice sunset. Fortunately, it's a lot pinker than the video showing. But now, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I bought my thick coat, padded coat.